The Real Mccoys, starring Walter Brennan, created by Irving Pincus.
Want you to meet the family known as the Real Mccoys. That's Grandpappy Amos, the head of the clan. He roars like a lion, but he's gentle as a lamb. And now here's Luke, who beams with joy since he may take Mrs. Luke McCoy. From West Virginia they came to stay in sunny California. Old Grandpappy Amos and the girls and the boys of the family known as the Real McCoys.
Read it to me again, will you, Luke?
Well, it ain't changed none, Grandpa. I printed it down just like you told me. It says, property of little Luke McCoy.
Does have an ownership ring to it, don't it?
Why, when little Luke gets home from school today, he's going to be the proudest boy in the whole county.
You know, Luke, it sort of wells me up inside when I see a boy get his first dirt. Sort of takes me back to the time my pappy gave me my first piece of land. Twa'n't much, just enough for 2 tomato plants, some radishes, and a row of lettuce. Why, my first crop was one good salad. Done it. Picks up a big surprise for a boy and don't even come home from school.
I can't understand it. He's usually home by now. Unless he stopped at the creek to try to catch some pollywogs.
Oh, he done that all weekend. He's all pollywogged out. Was he over at the Simpsons?
No, Eddie said little Luke stayed after school in the science class.
Of all the days, this one day he has to get himself in trouble.
Well, he may have taken off after Nat Pike. It seems Nat called him a rotten egg yesterday.
Well, now, I'm going to drive on into school and see what's going on.
Now, Grandpa, don't go doing nothing rash. We don't want you in trouble with the teacher.
What can he do to me? You stick me in the corner with one of them pointy hats?
Here's a couple more, Mr. Weber.
Oh, thanks, little Luke. Hey, very good. You're going to make a fine assistant.
Boy, I sure do hope so. I just love hanging around chemistry.
Little Luke!
Grandpa!
Don't you wash no more of them dishes till I explain to the teacher that this punishment is a mistake.
Well, Mr.
Now,
McCoy,
he had a right to poke Nat Pike in the nose. Being called a rotten egg might not mean nothing to you, but when your folks is in the egg business, it's an insult to the whole god-darn family.
Luke isn't being punished, Mr. McCoy.
You mean you got a dishwashing team and he made it?
Grandpa, I'm Mr. Weber's assistant.
And you ain't in trouble?
On the contrary.
Well, if that's a fact, I owe you apology for coming barging in like I done. My name is Amos McCoy, grandfather of the grandson here.
John Weber, delighted.
Yeah, it's all right.
You see, I always make my outstanding science student my assistant for the term.
Well, I think it's a good idea for a young fella to be able to make a little extra money.
Grandpa, I don't get paid for it.
Well, what's the honor in it?
Grandpa, the honor is just the fun of being able to stay here.
You mean to say it's fun to stay after school?
Boy, as a natural scientist, it's fun.
Natural scientist? Hogwash. Why, this boy's all farm. He's got dirt in his blood.
Oh, I disagree with you, Mr. McCoy. Take a look at this. Little Luke's aptitude test. Structural visualization, 130. Creative imagination, 127. Personality pattern, subjective. All this coupled with a high IQ. Now, what does this mean?
Well, don't you know? It's your piece of paper.
It shows that little Luke might make a fine scientist when he grows up.
Well, Mr. Weber, if you ask me, I'd say that paper was just a sneaky way of getting around the child labor law.
Grandpa, it isn't.
Now you come on home, little Luke. I got a surprise you.
Well, I'm staying here, Grandpa.
You're going home.
But my job.
You've just been fired.
Once in a lifetime, a gifted McCoy comes along and Grandpa slams the door right in his face.
Do you really believe this aptitude test is true?
Well, I most certainly do, Luke. But they can tell a whole lot more about people now than they used to.
We could just be sure.
Luke, it's a big chance for him to make something out of his life and not have to worry all the time. To have a nice home and a good career. To live a good life.
Oh. not like ours.
Oh, Luke. Now, you know I didn't mean it like that. Well, you done real good.
I don't know, Sugar Babe. I mean, Grandpa's made all them plans and he...
Grandpa, plans, Grandpa. Luke, whose life is this, little Luke's or Grandpa's? You love little Luke, don't you?
Of course I do.
All right, then. Speak to Grandpa.
All right. I'll talk to him. Little Luke, a scientist. You know, it's hard to believe that between them two dirty little ears, there beats a prize-winning brain.
That's the way we feel about it. All right, Luke, you made your point. You and Kate say he's going to be a scientist. I say he's going to be a farmer.
But the boy loves it, Grandpa.
Yeah.
He's just a natural scientist.
Yeah, and 2 weeks from now, he'll be a natural baseballer. I want to be a natural midget in the circus.
Oh, now, Grandpa.
Now, look, Luke, you know I want but 13-year-old when I wanted to be a railroad engineer? Why, I spent so much time in the roundhouse, I had circles under my eyes. And then my pappy showed me the handwriting on my wall and got me back to the farm where I belong.
Well, I'm sorry, Grandpa, but me and Kate, we still think that little Luke ought to keep on with his science.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah. And we're going to encourage him all that we can.
Well, do as you will, Luke. But 10 years from now, when you're walking around this here farm and you see a 6-foot-tall, blonde-headed man hoeing tomatoes, be nice to him, Luke. Because he's your brother. All right. All right, now, little Luke. I'll hold a tomato plant in there, and you fill in around it. Luke.
What's wrong, Grandpa?
Well, you planting my hand along with the tomato? I wonder if a hand bush would have grown if I'd left it there. I told you there's a lot of fun in farming. You having a lot of fun, ain't you?
Oh, sure, Grandpa. I'm having a real swell time.
Yeah, a lot more fun than washing scientific dishes, ain't it? Well, let's get on to the next one here. Well...
Holy smokes! Is this all for me, Kate?
I picked it up from Mr. Weber. We both agreed it'd be a good idea for you to do some extra work.
Boy, it's got everything. I can do the whole first year's book of experiments.
Hi, Sugar. Well, what's all this doing here?
Well, I'm going to do some experimenting here at home.
I went to see Mr. Weber today, Luke. I figured an explanation was necessary.
Well, he give you all this stuff, did he?
He lent it to us.
Well, better not let Grandpa see none of this, or he's going to blow sky high.
Gee, Kate, I forgot all about Grandpa.
Now, don't you worry none about him.
Huh?
Well, I'm not telling you to go again, your Grandpa.
Well, it's just that we don't want to cut you off from your science altogether.
You sure Grandpa won't mind?
Well, of course not. I mean, you think your Grandpa was unreasonable or something. It might be best if you used to work on the experiment in our bedroom.
Hey, now, don't you worry none, little Luke.
Where's everybody?
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is where you hide now, huh? Well, I might have known this where they'd find you sneaking an extra lemonade.
Well, I ain't drinking no lemonade.
Well, you're drinking something. Say, where this come from? I've never seen these before.
Them some new glasses I got.
Fruit juice glasses.
Oh, yeah? Them stores would come up with anything new just to get a housewife to spend the money with you.
Oh, and I got it free.
They drink fine if a body had a little birdie mouth. You ain't pulling my leg, are you?
Huh?
The bottom's round. How to set them down?
Well, you see, that's mostly for kids, you see, that won't drink their fruit juice. You can't set it down until you're finished.
Boy, wouldn't drink his fruit juice. You gotta do something. We're here, Kate.
Oh, hi. Grandpa, coffee?
Yeah, please, Kate.
Me too, sugar.
You say, Luke, we better get that hay in the loft this afternoon. It's going to rain tonight. My knuckles is acting up again.
Well, I don't trust him anymore, Grandpa. Last week you said it was going to rain Friday, and it didn't rain till Sunday.
Well, all last week my knuckles was running behind.
Here you are.
Thanks, sugar babe.
Yeah, thanks. Don't shake it, Kate. I'll stir it with a spoon.
Yeah, Grandpa. Grandpa, wouldn't you rather have your coffee out on the porch?
No, I wouldn't.
Now, sugar babe, you know that me and Grandpa like to have our afternoon coffee here in the dining room. You know, I think I would like to have my coffee out on the porch. Come on, Grandpa, let's go out and have our coffee.
All right, unclamp me now. I'm all nice and cozy. And the rivets and overhauls are all settled so they ain't scratching, so leave me be. You smell something burning?
Yeah, I sure do. It smells like it's coming from across the road there. Let's go over to the window and look out, Grandpa, and see.
Everything's all right. Don't worry. It's just the chemicals.
It ain't over there.
Maybe it's the barn. Let's get out there, out to the barn, yeah.
What's Kate doing? It's coming from over there. Little Luke smoking, huh? Little Luke! Oh, holy smokes. You ain't only going to stunt your growth. You're going to disappear forever.
I've been smoking, Grandpa.
Same dishes you was washing in school, ain't he?
Yes, sir.
Sciencing behind my back.
Now, Grandpa, we only done what we thought was right.
Well, now, if you only done what you thought was right, I hope you don't mind my doing what I think is right.
Yeah, now, hold on, Grandpa.
I don't care whether you're minding on. I'm going to destroy this.
And Grandpa, wait. It don't belong to little Luke.
What?
It's Mr. Weber's stuff.
Oh, he's in on this, too?
Now, Grandpa, let's talk this over calm-like.
There ain't going to be no calm talk, and I don't want to hear another word about it. I'm going to take this and the rest of that junk down to Mr. Weber, and I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. And the next time you figure on doing something behind my back, I want to know about it.
Mr. McCoy, you're being very unreasonable and narrow-minded.
My mind is just as wide as yours.
Little Luke is 1 in 100. He'll make a wonderful scientist.
He'll make a wonderful farmer. He was raised to be a farmer, just like me.
Oh, that's where you're wrong, Mr. McCoy. You may have been raised to be a farmer, but nature may not have intended you to be a farmer.
Oh, nature intended me to be a farmer because I can tell the weather by my knuckles.
So can my Aunt Sarah in Philadelphia. And she's a librarian. Do you realize, Mr. McCoy, how many people go through life using only half of their abilities? For all you know, you yourself may have been intended to pursue politics, to be a statesman, a leader of men.
Look here now. I'm a farmer because I was meant... Statesman?
Very possible. Or perhaps an architect. Or a surgeon. A saver of lives.
Well, I did have an uncle that was a doctor.
Doctor?
Actually, he was a dentist.
Is that so?
Well, the truth is, he was a barber, but he'd pull a tooth for 25 cents.
Wouldn't it be interesting to know if you had these things in you?
It might at that.
Let me give you an aptitude test.
Well,
why do you hesitate, Mr. McCoy?
Well, it's just that I can't read.
That's no problem. I can give it orally. It's just a standard aptitude test. You come on,
Well,
Mr.
now,
McCoy. Take a chance.
It don't take too long. I ain't got all day, you know.
This should prove very interesting.
Say, is my eyes lying to me, or does that say 35 o'clock?
It isn't an ordinary clock. It's a timer to tell how long you take to answer certain questions. Now, I'll just wind the clock and then explain to you what has to be done. Now then, when I say go, you're to put the...
Yeah, I fixed your breadboard whilst you was winding the clock.
Please.
When are you going to start the test?
We have started. Now, the second part. Now, this part consists of picking up these rings with these tweezers and placing them on the pegs on this board. You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
It's more like a horseshoe game for little bitty bugs, isn't it? I wonder if Teddy Roosevelt had to do this to find out if he was the leader of men.
Now then, on this next test, the clock will be running, and you're to answer as quickly as you can. I'll say a word, and you're to say the first word that comes into your head. Ready? Here's your first word. Grass.
Green.
Money.
Green.
Eyes.
Green.
Oops.
A daisy.
I'm sorry, that wasn't part of the test. I'll continue. Sugar.
Spoon.
Table.
Spoon.
Mashed potatoes.
Spoon.
Plow.
Farm.
Woman.
Spoon. I don't farm day and night, you know.
Now, this is our final test, Mr. McCoy.
All right, lay it for me. There must be one corner of brain you ain't stepped on yet.
Now, this is a test of imagination. I'm going to suggest a situation, and I want you to talk about it. You understand?
I think I do.
Now, the situation. There will never be any more daylight. It is always night.
Or it's nighttime?
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course, they have to get out of the farming business. Wouldn't be nothing that'd grow without the sunshine. Maybe I'd take a job as a night watchman. Leastwise, it'd be steady work. I'd have to move into town. Nice little town. Maybe on a river where I could see the moonlight shine on the water. I'd get me a canoe and photograph, a bunch of wreckage, and a nice widow who wasn't afraid of water. And then I'd paddle quiet-like up the river till he come to a little inlet where we could stop and then... God darn it, that happens every time, right in the best part of the dream.
Here they come. I told you it wouldn't be long.
Thanks, Mrs. McCoy. This won't take but a minute.
Howdy, Mr. Weber.
Hello, Mr. McCoy.
Mr. Weber, how are you?
Fine.
Well, your star pupil's doing right well on that patch of ground. What you got in your mind?
I just stopped by to give you the results of your aptitude test.
Oh, that thing.
The results came right from the university.
Yeah, that's it. Wasting its time.
The test shows, Mr. McCoy... I'll read it to you. The subject's greatest potential could be realized in the field of transportation. The high mechanical aptitude, interest in varied geographical locations, plus an outgoing and romantic personality, indicate natural abilities which would come into use as a seaman, long-distance truck driver, railroad engineer.
There, I told you that didn't mean... What was it last?
Railroad engineer.
Did you hear that, Grandpa?
You never asked me no question about railroading.
We find the truth without asking direct questions. That's the purpose of the test.
Railroad engineer. It says that's what I was meant to be?
That's correct, sir. Have you ever given it any thought?
Oh, mister, you ain't got no idea how much thought I done give it. 1,000 times in my dreams, I'd sit up in the cab of that big engine, pull the throttle wide open when it hit the flatlands. You feel them driving rods a-pounding. It's real dreaming.
You see, Grandpa, maybe these aptitude tests make some sense after all.
I guess they do with that, Kate. Me, a railroad engineer. Oh, not that I ain't happy at farming. No, sir. I ain't got a regret to my name.
Well, I've got to run. I usually correct examinations on weekends.
Well, thank you for coming out, Mr. Weber.
Glad to. Goodbye, Mrs. McCoy. Hello, Mr.
Weber.
McCoy.
Mr. Weber, little Luke will be on the job with you Monday.
Class will have plenty of dishes waiting for him.
Well, your grandpa done it again. Stuck both feet in the family's mouth. Well, I'll see you in a bit. I want to have a little talk with a little scientific friend of mine. Don't sing to me, little lady. I'm too old to go with you now.